Welcome everyone. Hello. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to this live workshop. So I am Bo. I work for Animation Mentor, the online animation school. And today we have a couple of really cool segments for you. The first one is going to be for the first hour and is going to be our main topic, which is transitioning from school to pro game animation. And this is going to be with Natasha Krinsky, one of our awesome mentors here at AM. And then following that, we're going to have a talk with Animation Mentor Student Success Team, Tim and Mars. So if you have any questions about the school or about how to learn the stuff that we're going to be covering today, definitely feel free to ask in there. So without further ado, let's jump right in and I'll let Natasha take it away.
Hello, everyone. I'm here. I'm Tasha. I'm here to talk to you about transitioning from school to pro game animation. That's always a fun topic. We come to school and we get super excited to one day be a pro, and this is kind of going to be a in-depth ex explanation of my journey and what I did to get into games and get a job in AAA games. If anyone doesn't know what that is, AAA games are high budget games that you see like GTA, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, God of War, Ragnarok. Those are all AAA games. And yeah, so I will get started. So first thing I want to say when talking about this is that everybody's journey is different when it comes to being successful in this field of animation. And at the end of the day, success is defined by you. So if you feel like you're successful, then that's really all that matters. Doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. If you feel successful, then you have done it. And we all think of success as a linear path, like I have in this picture of a line, but really it's everywhere. And you're going to go through ups and downs. And sometimes you're going to want to give up and be like, I can't do it. And then some days you'll be like, yeah, I could do it. And the point is as I have a quote here from Mark Flash, as we all know, he teaches the 6-week Maya program, and he said this to me, and I asked him if I could use it. Worry about what you can control, not what you can't. And by doing that is we go to school and we learn how to be animators, and we try our best so that way we can be as successful as we can try and be. So my point is no matter how long it takes you to get into the game industry, whether it's right away, 3 years, you get a job and you have it for 10 years, yay. If you jump around contracts like I have, that's okay. Everyone's different journey is great. So my experience, what I started it is I actually went to film school, and I was going to college to go to film school. And during one of my last semesters, I was taking an elective, and I chose to take an animation elective. It was really old school. It was actually taught by the animator who originally did the Tony the Tiger animations and those commercials. And we did 2D animation the old school way. We used these timers to time the spacing, no video references. It was all super old school. Anyway, I went home and to my parents, and I was like, I know I'm about to graduate, but just kidding. I'm going to be an animator. And they were like, yay, she wants to go back to school, even though she was almost done. And so I decided to be an animator. And I originally went back to college. And then I wish I remembered her name, but someone from Pixar came to visit. And she was talking about how she went to Animation Mentor. And I looked up the school and I was like, I'm going to go here. And that's how I ended up here at Animation Mentor. And I took classes and graduated in 2019. And I got lucky enough to be hired at Deck Nine Games right after I graduated, a couple months later. And originally, I was actually hired as a junior motion capture technician, so I wasn't quite an animator. But they also hired another girl as a junior motion capture technician, and they knew I wanted to be an animator. She wanted to be a technical animator, and I'll get more into what that is later. Um, and so from the beginning, I wasn't just cleaning up motion capture files, which is what motion capture technicians do. I was talking to the animators. They were teaching me how to do what they did, do professionally. I was also taking classes still at Animation Mentor to get better animation. I uh I don't know how I had all that time. I must have been very tired, but I was also cleaning up NPC facial work. They were letting me clean up the faces of NPC characters in the background of the game. And so I wasn't just sticking to the motion capture because I wanted to be an animator. So remembering that animators love to teach you too, even when you work at a studio, and if they're willing to ask them about their knowledge is great. So from Deck 9, at Deck 9 I got promoted to be a cinematic animator. And from there, after Deck 9, I ended up Electronic Arts, and I worked on Madden 23 and 24. Oh, at Deck 9, I worked on Life is Strange Remaster and Life is Strange True Colors. At Electronic Arts, when I got hired, I was an assistant animator for Madden 23 and 24. They taught me to use a program called Motion Builder, which I would consider more of an advanced animation program for cleanup motion capture. Um, and I had to learn how to do that there, and it was great. And it was definitely different though, because Life is Strange was very face heavy, lots of acting, facial animation. Then I went to football, and it was heavy body work. Animation Mentor's game program didn't quite exist yet, so I had never done a cycle in my life. I learned how to do cycles at EA as well. Um, I actually barely even knew how that worked yet, so I had to learn how to do it there. And then from Electronic Arts, I went to InXile Entertainment. I worked on a game called Clockwork Revolution, which has not been released yet, so I can't talk too much about it, but that was a great experience too. Lots of body work again. And then I went to Highwire Games, and I actually did both. I did the cycles, the body work there, and I did some cinematic face work again, which was awesome. And then in between Electronic Arts and InXile, I actually volunteered to be a tutor here at Animation Mentor. And just like they tell you at Animation Mentor to be looking at other student work and commenting on it, becoming a tutor and learning and looking at student work and critiquing it really, I think, helped make me a better animator, because I was critiquing other people's work and I was learning from their mistakes for my own mistakes. And that's kind of why you're supposed to do it. And everyone's opinion matters, no matter how new you are at animation. Um, look, just take, like, even when you show your animation to someone who doesn't know anything about animation, they might notice something. So don't be afraid to comment on student work, because I felt like that really helped me. And then a year later, I ended up becoming a mentor here in the games animation program. So some of you probably are thinking about studying animation. Some people might already be here. Some people might already be graduated. But now we have a games program here where we teach game animation and Unreal Engine. And Unreal Engine's probably the most used engine in the industry. Almost all the jobs I've worked at used it except EA, because they have their own. Um, but game animation mechanics and game animation combat, those are very gameplay centered courses where they teach you all those cycles, how to do the cycles. And then cinematics gets it more into the cinematic side, which we also use in games. And I think it's really important to learn all of those. To get into that, we're going to talk about people's first demo reels. And I have a couple students' demo reels here to show you. One thing I want you to always remember is it's quality over quantity. When we take the courses here, Animation Mentor, you make your own game. And at the end of this, I actually have a student's game that I can show you that works in Unreal. And when we make these demo reels as a new student, not all your animations might work that you can put inside the demo reel, and you might feel like a lot's getting cut because you only want your best work on your animation demo reel. You don't want they'd rather see 10 seconds of something amazing than a minute of just fluff. And so you only want your best work. And so I have shoes here. He really likes cinematic animation, and so his right now are all Play Blast. This is when he went to school here. But because when I teach the cinematic course in classics, I tell students to worry about making things look pretty and Unreal after school. That's like something you could do after school. Worry about the animation while I'm here to help you with animation. And then if you want to put pretty lights and cameras and all of that, do it afterwards. But what you do is, even if all those cycles don't make it in your demo reel, you're going to put that in your resume and write everything you know about it and everything that you've learned in this school. Here's another animation demo reel by David, who was also my student. His is kind of a mixture of two gameplay animations and cinematic animations. And it's only 20 seconds long, but that's okay, because what they're looking for is good animation, not just everything. thing that you've done with fluff. You just need your best animation shots. And one thing to know is I wrote on here that technically Unreal Engine does not need to be on your demo reel, but it is a bonus. And there's going to be a lot of people applying to these jobs, so you want to stick out. I also want to say this is Fede Shot. He was another animator in my class, student of mine, and he did the work to he was more of an advanced student, had been animating for quite a while, so he did the work here to do all the lights and all this environment stuff in Unreal. But this is something you could do after class, after you've learned how to do Unreal, and make your shot look like this too after class 6. But yeah, I think it's really good to get Unreal, learn all that knowledge, so you have one step ahead all the other animators that will be applying to these jobs in games. So let's talk about the different kinds of jobs that exist in the games industry for game animators. um, there's 4 main ones I feel like are very connected to animators, which I think is gameplay animator, cinematic animator, technical animator, and motion capture technicians. I've been all of them except a technical animator. I have never been a technical animator. So gameplay animators are heavy on the body work. They make all those cycles that we teach in class 4 and 5 here. The combat cycles, the run, walks, jumps, the strifes, attacks, special attacks. That's all gameplay animation. When you think about it, if you grab a game and you start playing it and you're walking around the character, that's the gameplay animator's jobs. NPC animations, when you're talking to NPCs and they're moving, those are gestures. I've cleaned up quite a few gestures in my time as an animator. That's going to be a gameplay animator. Then there's a cinematic animator, and cinematic animators, they clean up both body and face. And when you think about cinematics, you think about the Naughty Dog games and God of War games, Rockstar games like GTA and Red Dead Redemption. You see all those great cinematics. If you want to be a cinematic animator, because they should also have a good sense of acting and understand the face and the body, I do recommend after the games course that you should probably take the character animation courses so you learn more about acting in the face. But I also don't think you should restrict yourself to I'm only going to apply to gameplay animation jobs. I'm only going to apply to cinematic jobs. If you want to be a cinematic animator, apply to the gameplay jobs too, even after you finish class 6 of the games course, and you're going to move on to the CAP program, start applying to the gameplay jobs, because the most important part is getting that first job. So don't restrict yourself. And then just keep building that demo reel, keep building it and building it, because it's a never ending process. Like I said, I was still taking classes here after I got my first job to keep building my demo reel and keep making it better and better. So don't restrict yourself. The technical animator, they're a little bit less on the artistic animation side. They do a lot of rigging, which is making characters move, their muscle and joints, and they also have a really strong understanding of the Unreal Engine or any other engine that you use at the studio. So if you really love the tech side of Unreal, if you take these courses and you're like, I love the technical side of Unreal, that could be the job for you. I know a little bit less of what they do because I've never been one, but you love the tech side, that is something you could do in this industry. Then another job that I think is related to animation is motion capture technicians. They're the ones who clean up the motion capture for the files for both the body and the face. And they also film it inside these like film studios. It feels like you're in a film studio. If you're really into the filmmaking side, which technically I was a film major first, this could be the job for you if you love filmmaking and video games and animation. This is the filming side, where those people that you have the people wearing the suits and they film it. And it's a lot of fun if you love filmmaking and video games, because that's their job, is they film this. And when I was a motion capture technician, I did more of the technical side of it. I only did a little bit inside the room, but what we did was like this picture here, we'd get these faceware files and we'd clean up the faceware file of the face. And then we'd use faceware retargeter to put it onto the Maya rig. And as the picture shows here, and you'd have to make it match as much as you could before it was sent off to animators to clean up. That could be old technology kind of now, but I think they still use it because that was 6 years ago, but pretty sure Faceware is still used. I know Unreal came up with their own version called MetaHuman, which is pretty popular now, which is pretty similar. So it's whatever studio wants to use, and I'm pretty sure both are used in the industry because I've seen both. So, and of course, here's the scariest part of animation. You're doing all your artwork, you're super proud of it, and in my opinion, the scariest part is the networking and LinkedIn part and reaching out to people. The scariest part is definitely reaching out and trying to build yourself as an animator and showing that you exist. But as animators, we need to network, and LinkedIn's the #1 place to do that. You want to create a LinkedIn, you want to add all your friends, classmates, mentors, coworkers, follow recruiters that work at the companies you want to work at, or just all the recruiters because you can follow people there too. Um, One thing Animation Mentor does that's really cool is if you made an animation here at the school, if you post on LinkedIn and tag them, they'll repost it for you. That helps get noticed because they'll repost it. I see animations from students all the time being reposted by Animation Mentor, so other people will see your work, and that's really important to get noticed. Um, don't be afraid to reach out to people, but don't spam them. Because and also remember getting ignored. Don't take it personally because people are busy. Um, Recruiters probably get 100 messages a day, but it only takes one sometimes to notice you. Going to animation conventions like Lightbox, CTN, GDC are also great ways to network in person. I know Animation Mentor was just at Lightbox. I'm jealous of everyone who was able to go. I used to go to CTN. I've been there quite a few times, and it was a great way to network and get to know everyone in person, especially in this field that's so remote now. And remember that it's not always the best animator that's hired, but the best one to work with. So, of course, doesn't mean don't try hard in your animation and make your animations look really good. But at the end of the day, if you're really awesome to work with and someone else might be better at animation, but you're awesome, they'll probably pick you because they love you and you're awesome. So that's why networking is so important and for people to know who you are. And making your own website to advertise yourself is another way to do that. Put your animations on there, put your artwork, show why you're a cool person, why people want to work with you. Advertise yourself. So I got a couple quotes from some of my friends who also work in the industry. This is from Alice, who also went to Animation Mentor here, and she works at Meta, who we also know from Facebook, but she actually works in virtual reality and she animates in virtual reality games. And her advice is to she basically here says to continue animating and remember why you're passionate about animating even after you've gotten a job. Don't stop animating just for work. Don't just animate for work, and continue to stay passionate and show that this is something you love. Um and basically because the people hire you can tell if you truly love animation or if you're just animating for work. And I I agree with this a lot. There was a time during my when I was getting jobs, at one point I was just animating for work, and sometimes I felt like I almost lost the passion of why I loved animation so much. And honestly, what brought it back was when I started tutoring here at Animation Mentor, and I was listening to all the students and how passionate they were at the beginning, and it really brought back, and I remembered why I love animation so much listening to all these students. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I used to love animation this much." And it brought it back. And then I started animating again on the side, and I started remembering why I love animation. So this is good advice to never forget why you love animation and to keep that drive. I also have two other um, friends of mine who I also worked with. One's from Mike York, and I worked with him at Highwire. He also worked on games such as Grand Theft Auto and God of War Ragnarok. And he also has a YouTube channel where he actually does he posts about game animation. He actually does uh, videos dissecting trailers of game animation. But anyway, his best advice is to make an awesome demo reel and then post it everywhere. As I was saying with the LinkedIn, like you got to post your stuff everywhere. You got to make people know that you exist, and why you're an awesome person to work with, and that's one of the most important things of being an animator. And then I also worked with Joshua Malto at EA, and we both worked on Madden together. And his advice, even though he says it's cliche, is you'll receive thousands of rejections, but to remember it only takes one person to start a career. And I've also felt this before when I was messaging recruiters trying to get attention, and I was just getting ignored. And then one recruiter messaged me back, and I got that job. So sometimes it just takes one person to message you back and to notice you to gain success, as it says here. Just one yes. Um, and I don't know Brad Bird personally, but I thought this was a nice quote. Animation is about creating the illusion of life, and you can't create it if you don't have. That's really good advice because we have to remember as animators to get out and to go watch life and study the illusion of life so we can make animation. And also, thank you for watching and listening to my talk. But I'm actually not done because I do have an Unreal file from Alice, who I showed the quote from. Um, Let me go ahead and stop sharing and I'll pull it up. So I have her Unreal file to show you at Animation Mentor what we make and how you make a game here. And it's a full functioning, real working game. Hold on 1 second. Okay, let me just get it started here. So as you can see, it's fully working. We have the enemy here following, and you can attack the enemy. I think my attack missed. I think it missed again, but that's her special attack. There we go. So as you can see, now you can show a studio that you know how to make a working game after going to school here. And honestly, whatever you can do to help get you noticed at studios is uh best thing you can do.
That was awesome. It's so cool seeing Alice's work, especially having seen her go through the program and seeing all the pieces. When you look at the final product, oh, it's a game. But
Yeah.
to see all the pieces as they were being made and then implemented was so fascinating.
I think it's really cool to see it all together when you
Hmm.
do the cycles, the run, the walk, and it might sound easy. Oh, it's just a walk, it's a run. It's a lot of work to do all those cycles. It's not easy, and getting them to flow together and to not get poppy and everything. Um, it it's awesome. Yeah.
That's really cool. So we can go into the Q&A portion here. So if anyone has questions, feel free to post them in the Q&A panel down below, and we can get to as many as we can here. And let's just jump right into it. There were quite a few questions here regarding Unreal. And is Unreal the kind of industry standard when it comes to games? There's a lot of other programs like Unity and Game Maker, all of these ones. Is there a reason why Unreal is kind of the one being taught?
Unreal is the one I think most studios use. From what I've seen, as every studio I worked with except one used Unreal. That's why we teach it here. I have seen Unity before. I've never actually used Unity. I've never worked at a studio who used Unity either. And then EA has their own. But that's why we teach Unreal here. Is it's the number one used across studios.
Yeah. I have learned a little bit of Unity, just diving into it. And I will say the stuff that you learn for Unreal it's going to be slightly different, kind of like going from Maya to Blender or vice versa, but all the fundamentals are still there. So regardless of what game engine you learn from, it's something that you can apply to any game,
Hmm.
which is,
The oh, sorry.
no, no, go ahead.
I think I've never used Unity, but yes, if you've used Unreal, I'm sure you can apply your knowledge to Unity and pick up Unity.
So, in terms of picking up knowledge, when we are learning game animation, is it also important to learn things like rigging and modeling? And are those skills that game studios will be looking for in their character animators or their game animators? Or is that something that, as a student, you should just kind of avoid for now?
If you want to learn it for fun, I've seen jobs with the rigging on it, but technically that's someone else's job. So no, you don't have to learn modeling, you don't have to learn rigging. Um, I've seen postings where they say rigging on it, but most animators that work in the industry don't know how to rig. And you don't have to be most of us know how to model kind of, but you don't have to be a good modeler. That's a lot of work to learn how to do the models and be really good. Of course I know how to make a ball and then move it around and then reshape it, but if you asked me to make it into a really awesome Disney princess or something, I couldn't. So
So it's essentially when a studio is looking for an animator, they are looking for someone who can animate really, really well. The other skills are bonuses, but not what their goal
yes.
is. Cool.
Learning Unreal Engine is, even though I didn't know Unreal Engine and it can be taught at a studio, um Unreal Engine's important because it just gets you ahead. If there's a really good
Hmm.
animator that knows Unreal Engine versus a really good animator that doesn't, they'll probably pick the one who does. So it's a bonus. I'm not going to say you'll never get a job if you don't know Unreal Engine, because technically I did, but it's better to be nowadays. So many people are learning this stuff. It's better to be ahead. That was also 6, 7 years ago now. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's definitely changed quite a bit where in the past it used to be, oh, you can just animate, go in, but having those extra skills like knowing Unreal and knowing how the logic and the blueprints and all of that works, like you said, it just gives you that extra step up so that if the recruiter is looking at you and your animation, your competition's animation right there, same level, if you know that extra little thing, it can be that little extra leg up, which is always nice. Plus, it's all really fun to learn. It
Yep.
really is.
Plus, it's fun to learn, and it's fun to learn how all the nodes work in Unreal, and it's fun. It's definitely I've learned a lot even working at Animation Mentor, even more about Unreal. So
And we have another question here regarding the kind of back and forth from film and games.
mhm.
A lot of people are wondering, is that knowledge that is interchangeable? So, for example, if you learn game animation, can you take what you learned there and apply it to film or TV, and vice versa, take from film and TV and apply it to games? Or are they totally separate kind of areas?
So I think that they're not totally separate. I mean, when we play games these days, if you think about Naughty Dog's games, any of The Last of Us, it feels like you're playing a movie, right? So having film knowledge is never a problem. Camera knowledge, when you go to film school, you learn cameras, and as animators, we work with cameras. Now, okay, at studios, you don't always move their camera. Most studios I work with, they already have the camera placed by somebody and they don't let you touch it, but having the knowledge is never bad.
That's really cool. It definitely, I'm a little late. I just finished Red Dead Redemption 2, just like last week. Yeah, just a few years late. The cinematography language in there was mind blowing. Just the way they position the cameras and whatnot. It's all gameplay, but it was a cinematic masterpiece. It was so good. So, yes, it definitely is interchangeable. I definitely agree with that. Uh, so, another question here is for people whose goal it is to go into, let's say, TV and film, would you still recommend learning about games as a way of diversifying their ability to enter the industry, or should they focus on their goal? And vice versa with games. Like if your goal is games, should you also diversify into character animation?
Um, so honestly, if you don't mind which one you end up in, I don't see what's the problem in knowing all of it. And then honestly, when I got into games, I actually was wanting to be in feature and I ended up in a job in games and I love games. And I don't see why you should restrict yourself to one. And I think you should broaden your knowledge on all of it. And if you sometimes it can be hard to go back and forth. If you worked a lot in games and you try and apply to feature, the animation style is so different. I've heard it can be hard switching back and forth. Even though I've never worked in feature. Um, that being said, I don't see why not. I keyframe animation feature stuff for fun, and seniors can do both. At the end of the day, a senior level animator, they understand cinematic animation. Um, they understand feature animation. They understand both. So I don't see why not.
It is a lot of fun. Honestly, animation in both sides is. I never
Hmm.
thought I'd go into games. I fell into it by accident, and I've been loving it ever since.
I did
Uh,
too, and I love it.
that's the weird story I keep hearing from a lot of people. Is I never thought about games ever, and then I got a random job doing it, and I never looked back. I loved it ever since. It's weird how I've heard that more often than not. So in terms of games, you mentioned having all of these different types of animators from gameplay, cinematics, technical, cleanup. Is there advice that you could give on when someone's entering the game field, how to choose which of these they should kind of be aiming for and prioritizing for?
And actually, I was going to put this in my talk, and I'm glad you asked because I totally went by it. Anyway, I started as a junior motion capture technician. So I don't think you should be picky. You get in the game industry, you get into the industry. It might not be the exact job you want. Get in the industry, do what I did. Ask them how the animators, how they do their jobs, learn how to do their job, become great at that job so you can do what you want. Getting in the industry is the hardest part. So don't say no to a job just because it's a sidestep. If you got a job as a technical animator or a motion capture technician, but you want to be a cinematic or gameplay, don't say no just because it's not the title you want. Work to get that title and show that you can do it.
Curiosity is a wonderful tool.
Yeah.
And just ask people in the
Hmm.
studios any questions. Everyone I've ever met, like you were mentioning, is animators like to teach for some
Yes.
reason. They like to share their nerdy knowledge, and
Yep.
it is amazing.
Animators love showing what they can do. You go and ask, how do you do your job? And just listen, and they'll just go on talking. Oh, this is how you do it. This is my art. Do you love it? And you're like, yeah, this is awesome.
It is fascinating and wonderful. Now, here's a interesting question in the sense that I feel like a lot of people ask themselves this without really having a proper answer is how important is it to be a gamer when going into the gaming industry? Do you need to play all the most recent games and be playing games constantly to be in that industry? Or can you jump in without having ever played any games?
So I think that's the same as learning Unreal Engine at this point, honestly. If you are a gamer, you're just gonna have more in common with the people who are interviewing with you. I've never had an interview where they didn't ask me what games I'm playing, what games I like. I think it just makes it's always an interview question they always ask. I think you'll have more to talk about, more to connect with the people you're gonna work with. And so if you haven't played games before and you want to be a games animator, I think you should start playing some games. And then you'll have something to talk about. I love this game. This is what's awesome about it. Or if you're interviewing with a company and that's the game they made, you can tell them about how much you love their game. So I think you should play the games too.
Agreed. There's so many good ones too.
Yeah.
And even if you're just a fan of animation, there's so many games with amazing animation.
I agree. There's so many great games out there, so many animate games with great animation. I definitely think playing the games is a good idea.
It's awesome. And earlier you mentioned about cleaning animations and cleaning mocap. Is motion capture the default in the gaming industry, or is that just dependent on the studio and the project?
It's dependent on the studio. A lot of studios use motion capture a lot. I do think for learning purposes, learning with keyframe first, you should learn with keyframe first. Honestly, I do. Um, Motion capture can come second. When you're training your eyes, which is what animation is, training the eyes to see things, doing keyframe, the old keyframe way is, I think, the best way to learn. Then you can, after you've gone through Animation Mentor, start practicing more on motion capture on your own time. There's tons of motion capture you can download online and keep practicing on it. But I actually don't use motion capture for fun when I'm keyframe. I keyframe animation for fun on my own free time. So
And for anyone interested in pursuing motion capture technician style work, is there anything specific that they should be looking into? And is learning, for example, animation useful for that, or is that going to be another skill set?
most motion capture technicians, I don't believe animate. I think probably the filmmaking stuff's going to help you a lot there. Looking into what the programs they use, Faceware, Unreal Engine, MetaHuman, looking into how they film things on those sets with the suits and the dots. I don't even know what they're called, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about. The suits that have all the dots everywhere. Looking into that kind of stuff, if you want to do that, I think is going to be your best bet. And looking into those programs. I wish I knew of a place that taught motion capture, but I would say filmmaking's. I feel like they probably look for people with strong filmmaking skills since it is filmmaking.
Mhm. That is a very fascinating field, especially when you start looking into the actual studios who just do motion capture. I highly recommend you can go on YouTube. There's a bunch of amazing videos just on the motion capture process. Definitely check them out. They are so cool.
I agree.
Now, is Unreal hard to learn when you start? And as a student, should you learn how to use, for example, Maya first and then jump into Unreal, or should you be jumping directly into Unreal right from the start?
Oh, you should definitely learn Maya first, but Maya is a hard program to use too. So if you can learn Maya, you can learn Unreal. But definitely start with Maya. You start with that 6 week course. I did not take the 6 week course for Maya, and I regretted it because I failed the first class because I didn't know what I was doing. Because I apparently can't read. So take the 6 week course and then move on to animation basics. You learn the basics of Maya first, then you do Unreal. It's like I mentioned Motion Builder, which is a common program used in the games industry as well, which would be even after that. So it's more advanced programs as you keep going.
And Unreal is built, at least their animation side is built very much in relation to Maya. So if you understand Maya, transitioning over, aside from learning what nodes and blueprints and all of that stuff is, the core underlying structure is very similar. So once you have that understanding, it does help quite a bit. And we have another question here, kind of into a broader topic here. In your opinion, what percentage of success comes from talent versus hard work? A
I think
big
it's all hard
question.
work. Talent comes from hard work. As human beings, you can learn almost anything by putting hard work into it. So, there are some talented people. They pick up a computer. They're like, look at my animation. It's amazing. But that's not most people. So I think it's hard work and drive and passion and never giving up. And another thing I was going to mention is if you finish the animation mentor program to strengthen your animations, I would continue to go to the alumni dailies. Those are great and they're free to alumni. Um, Continue to do those to if you're done with class 6, your animations need to be stronger. You're like you looked at all your game animations. You want your game to look like Alice's where it fully runs, but all your animations aren't strong enough. Go to the alumni dailies every 2 weeks and you'll get notes on all of them. You keep working on those animations and make them stronger and stronger.
That is amazing advice, especially the hard work creates talent. That
Hmm.
is something I've seen over the years here at Animation Mentor when I was a student, to when I was a mentor, to all the other different stages. the students that succeed aren't the ones who are just born with talent. Some students might come in and, oh, wow, they're doing amazing work right from the start. But it's because they took years of figure drawing classes
Mhm.
and they studied acting or they did all these other things, lots of hard work behind them that you're not seeing at the moment. All you're
Mhm.
seeing is this final product that looks amazing.
Mhm.
And the students who really just take the time to do the work, not suffer through it. Don't burn yourself out on it. That's different. But to work hard, to study, to learn, anyone can succeed with that.
Yes. And being an awesome person and networking,
Yes.
because
Yes.
besides your passion for animation, networking's huge. Networking, I would say it's almost above talent. As you said, you could be a really talented animator, but if you suck to work with, no one's going to hire you. So networking and being awesome is actually probably the top of everything. Why do I want to work with you?
I've heard horror stories of amazing animators. Like their talent is mind blowing, but they were so hard to work with that recruiters would just go, nope,
Yep.
moving on. And it is very true. Like if you're someone who people want to work with,
Mhm.
studios will be like grabbing at you to get you into their team and make everyone happy.
Yeah. I just mentioned how many studios taught me how to do things. They can teach you how to do things. I mean, obviously, I said go to school to learn it too because you want to only help yourself. But studios, if they like you, will also teach you how to do things, and you're going to learn things at studios anyway. But they don't want to teach people who aren't fun to work with.
Hmm.
You hear about actors too, when they might be an amazing actor and they get blacklisted, and people stop working on them because they're not fun to work with. So that's the number one
It,
thing.
yeah, it is amazing how much just being a genuine person who wants to do a fun job and be nice to others, it really goes far in this industry.
Hmm.
And there's quite a few questions here regarding remote work in games. Are games typically remote work positions now, or are the majority of them in studio positions?
I see both. My best advice is for that first job, for when don't be picky on the remote thing. If you get a job and move out for it, and then a lot of jobs are contracts. So let's say you get a contract for a year and you move out for a job, and then that contract ends, you can come back. And I see a lot more advanced animators who tend to be in the remote side and stay remote, but then the juniors, sometimes they want those juniors on site. So don't be picky, especially for your first couple jobs. And but they're still remote jobs. So if you move for a while and you know you want to go back to your hometown, live there, know that there's a lot of remote jobs out there that you could work in the future.
Nice. The remote jobs are getting a lot more popular, which has been
Hmm.
really, really nice. Now, in terms of community and kind of, you mentioned going on LinkedIn, sharing your work, and finding people to build a network of. Do you have any suggestions on how to advertise your work on social media, how to get noticed, and any communities that students can find to build that network?
Um, well, one thing is to post on your animation and have Animation Mentor repost it because they will. That will help your networking. My best advice is though adding everyone, follow recruiters. Sometimes you can add people you don't know, and if you throw them out a message being like, "Hey, I'm a new junior, and I I'm just trying to build my network." Some people will add you, some people won't. Putting yourself out of the box to try and talk to people you don't know is very scary. I also don't like it, but and then going to those conventions honestly and meeting more people. I think the best thing you can do is honestly going to events. Um, Stay involved with Animation Mentor. We'll always be here for you. Stay involved with people here. Get to know people. Say hi. Add mentors. That's what we're here for. Um, just do your best to put yourself out there. Basically. I'm trying to think if there's groups you could join. I think the best thing though is to go to conventions. Might be your best thing for groups. Honestly, is. going to conventions.
Yeah, that the Lightbox convention that just happened, the stories I've been hearing from that have just been amazing. And if you can get to like Annecy or any of those others around the world, they're just good times. Again, animators are a weird group of nerds who just love to have fun and enjoy the world of animation. Now, another question here in regards to what you were talking about learning to, let me put it this way, rephrasing the question here so that it's covering a few other questions. So, when you're starting to learn animation and starting to go into games or feature film, is it important as a student to start learning all of these more advanced concepts right away? So, learning Unreal, learning all of these kind of higher things as soon as you can? Or is it better to focus solely on the assignments at the moment? So, for example, let's say you're in class one of the Animation Mentor program, the fundamentals. Is it better to focus solely on those assignments first, or also trying to learn as much as possible in preparation for the future?
Focus on the animation first. There were times when I've had students that were focusing on Unreal even too much in class 4, 5, and 6, and I was like, you got to focus on the animation first. Animation's always first. Unreal's second. You want to still learn the Unreal part, but animation's always first because you want to make sure the animation's strong and that it looks good because even when applying to studios, they care more about that than your knowledge on Unreal. You still need to know what you still want to know Unreal. You want to put that on your resume. You want to be like, I know how to do all this stuff, but your animation needs to be strong. So until you get to class 4, 5, and 6, just concentrate on animation. Don't worry about Unreal. That's later.
So Unreal is just the cherry on the cake. You want to make sure your cake is
Yes.
actually delicious and
Yes.
beautiful and really nice. And then you
Yes.
add that little Unreal bloop on top.
Yes. The
Okay, cool.
animations first. Animation always first. I want you to remember that as you're doing things. I if you're struggling with an Unreal and you're having glitches, which Bo here is like the little technical animator of Animation Mentor. He fixes Unreal problems for you. If you're having an issue with Unreal, let your mentor know. Uh, animation first. Don't spend all your week on Unreal. So yeah, it's the cherry on top.
Nice. And we have another question going back to the animation process between film and TV. For anyone looking to switch from film and TV into games, is there anything specific that they should be trying to focus on and develop their skills into? So, for example, you mentioned Unreal, but the animation skills come first. So, should they be doing cycles? Should they be doing combat? Like, what would their first steps into the game world be?
Cycles. Yeah, I think focusing on cycles, combat, like you said, body mechanics, lots of heavy body mechanics, because combat's heavy body mechanics, and most games have a lot of body mechanics. But learning acting is of you said coming from feature though. So
Hmm.
they've
Yeah.
done the acting. So if you already got the acting on it, you're already ahead anyway. So you can take your acting skills and make cycles even instead of just doing a basic walk cycle, have character to it.
It's amazing how much character adds to it.
Yeah.
Just uh, asking your opinion here. If you had two walk cycles, let's say, hypothetically, one amazing animation, but kind of vanilla, one, the animation is really good, but not as good, but there is character to it. There's a definite personality to this person. Which one would stand out to you more?
The acting one.
Nice. So it's not just about moving something, it's about moving something with life, would you say?
Yes. I think studying acting is definitely an important part of animation and giving it life and being interesting because animation is a work of art. So we don't want it just to be a basic. I always say this to students. I'm like, I want you to look at your animation, look at the first 2 frames, and would you print that frame out and stick it on your wall and call it a work of art? Because if the answer is no, then your pose isn't good enough and you need to make it better.
It that is very true. Honestly, like the best shots that I can think of is when you see it that first frame and it's like, I want to look into this more. I want to watch this. It's
Yeah,
already sold me by that one first frame. It's important.
it is. Just think about it. Would I print this and put it on my wall and look at it every day? No, make it better.
And kind of going into that side of character and kind of finding out how to start into games, would you say it would be a good idea to approach it as in if I need to make an animation for a game reel, just think about what games do? So, for example, running, jumping, climbing, attacking, or is there a better way to approach it?
So no. I don't think you should just do all the basic stuff. You want to show off stuff, but you want to show off your best animations. So no, I don't think you should just think about all the things the game does. I think you want to show off your best animations no matter what they are.
Nice.
But in your resume, you could write that you know everything. That's what your resume is for.
So the demo reel is a showcase of your skills and talent, not just a portfolio of I can do A, B,
Yep.
C, D, and everything else. It's not a
Yes.
dictionary of work.
No. This is your demo reel is who you are. This is when you're applying to jobs, you're showing them this is who I am as an animator, and this is my awesome animations I make. You don't want it to be like, I know how to do a walk, I know how to do a run, I can do a jump. You want to show how awesome you are. You want to show your best animations, and you want to show the best body mechanics that you understand this stuff. And acting.
Nice. And
Acting is always
on
nice.
yeah, on the topic of showing who you are, would you say that a demo reel stands out more if the animation shows a uniqueness to the animator? So it's not just a like laundry list of all this amazing stuff. It is this animator's amazing stuff. This personality is coming through and it's the work that they are passionate about, not
Yes.
just good work.
Yes, I agree with that completely. It's it shows your passion, it shows your acting skills, it shows everything. Um and I know as juniors sometimes it can, like I said, be really short. It could be 10 seconds long. It can be hard to have a and also I hear students here they talk about the rendering a lot. They're like, mine doesn't have all the pretty lights and colors, and I'm like, that doesn't matter. It's about the animation first. The pretty colors can come second. That's second. Um,
Would you say when it comes to recruiters that like with lighting, does it even play a part? Do they even consider that, or is it just something they ignore to focus on the animation, the thing they're looking for?
so rendered stuff when you have experience obviously is better for students. I don't think that's the number one thing that they should be looking for. I've also heard different people say different things. I've heard some people say, I don't like the pretty lights and colors. I just want to see the animation. I've heard some people be like, they like to have it rendered and look nice on reels. I've heard both. So it's going to depend on who's looking at your demo reel. But as juniors and as students, that I don't think you should be concentrating on the lights yet. Once you've had experience and then try and get all the rendered stuff, you worked on a game, which sometimes you have to wait because you have to wait for the game to come out, and that can suck. Um, but to go get it rendered because they don't just give it to you at the end of your time at a studio. Um, but once you have experience, get trying to get the rendered stuff is a good idea. But as I mean students, I don't think that's the number one thing you should think about.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where when you see a shot that is lit improperly, even though it is technically prettier, if it's not done right, it's just going to take away from the animation. And in
Yeah.
most cases, just that raw animation is so much more awesome. There's a reason why lighters, there's a whole division of
Yeah.
people who have spent their whole life learning how to do this one thing.
And Animation Mentors partnered with something that can teach you lighting, right? I forgot what it was
Yeah,
called.
yeah, they are. It's a awesome program. Once you finish Animation Mentor, you have the chance to having your shots lit by this other school, which is really cool.
I
And
recommend
it
that
takes
if
a
you want.
yeah, yeah, it takes a lot of the stress off of you,
Yeah.
and you can just focus on the cool stuff like animating.
Yeah.
So In terms of a student who is just starting out in class one of Animation Mentor, let's say, would you say it is better to take the character animation course first and then the games if they want to do both? Or would it be better to do the games first and then the character animation program? What would build more naturally?
I think actually you should go with games first because you go from class 3 advanced body mechanics into more body mechanics and more body mechanics, and then you end in cinematics, and from there, once you've learned some game cinematics, you can go into face. So I feel like the natural progression, I feel like you should take the whole games course and then move on to character animation.
Nice. I like that. It makes a lot of sense, especially with the body mechanics. Now, a question for you here. This is going off script. I'm asking my own question. Let's say you have a student ANO3. They've just finished advanced body mechanics, and they feel like their body mechanics are solid. They understand it completely. Would you say then they should still follow the same path where they should go into games first to keep refining those body mechanics, or should they go into acting first to get that skill up next?
Ooh, that's a good question. I guess if they have strong body mechanics, they could go either way. Um, I think the progression still between the games to acting, I think that there's a really nice
Mm-hmm.
way to put it.
Especially the cinematics when you're
Yeah.
learning how to move cameras and animate uh,
Yeah.
a scene, and then you go into the actual character behind it. That does make
But
sense.
like you said with the acting part, they do have strong body mechanics. They could switch it up and do acting, then go to the games and make really strong acting with games. So I can see it going both ways. But if you're a newer student without the strong body mechanics, I think you should do the games program and
Mm-hmm.
then character. Yeah.
We talked about how a lot of the mechanics kind of they build on top of each other and having that, for example, strong foundation of animation before you add Unreal to the cake. Would you say it's the same with animation in general, where that solid body mechanics is critical before you get into the acting? Kind of, if you don't have that in place, the acting isn't going to sell
Yes.
correctly.
Actually, I do think having the strong I actually when I was going here, I took in the middle of it, I took body mechanics 4 times and then I moved on to acting because yes, having a strong um getting strong body mechanics is really important. So, I kept taking body mechanics because I kept judging myself. I kept being like, "They're not good enough. I'm gonna do it again." I was like, "Still not good enough. I'll do it again." So,
And
yeah.
we have a few questions here, just in terms of acting in animation. We've mentioned that term quite a few times. What does that mean when it comes to animation? How is acting in animation different from acting or regular animation?
Um, acting for animation. Ooh. I think it's very similar to live action. At the studying live action acting is not bad to study. It's not bad to study live action good actors to bring into your animated shots. But it's definitely I feel like animation's more like exaggerated acting, I guess to an extent. You can add more into their facial expressions. You can push it. I guess it's like pushed acting to an extent. You can push it. You can
Mm-hmm.
really and you could critique it. I'm trying to think of a good way to answer that.
Well, from the animation to acting animation side of things, would you say it would be the difference between doing an action and a person doing an action? So, for example, if I'm just reaching up to grab an item, I could just grab it. That's the action. But adding the acting is, am I scared of the object? Am I reaching it
Yes.
with gusto? It's adding that extra level of personality, life, character to emotion and
Yes.
not just emotion.
So, watching acting classes to think about stuff like that's not a bad idea on the side because they'll teach you how to instead of just I grab the cup, like you said, they'll teach you how to put emotion and acting into reaching for a cup and how to make it interesting, even if it's live action. And then you can bring that into your animation learning from what you learned on how someone live action would do that into the animation when you record a video reference. So you have a nice video reference with acting in it, and then you bring it into the computer and you can exaggerate it into this artistic work of art.
Nice. And we're almost at time here. Boy, time flew by. I really enjoyed this. So we have a couple more questions here that I think can be super helpful to answer a lot of people's questions. The first one is in regards to the game animation program that you were talking to and that you're teaching. Are all of the blueprints in Unreal, the blend shapes, the game engine parts in there provided for the students and they're just simply filling in the blanks, or is that something that they're learning to understand and build themselves?
It's a mixture of both. They're building a little bit themselves. There's also stuff pre-done for them that we did at Animation Mentor. Because as animators in the industry, we don't build it from scratch. That's more of a technical animator. Technical animators know how to do that more than animators. So you do a little bit more, so it teaches you, but it's not just implementing, but it's not building it from scratch either.
Nice. How important would you say is it to understand how things are built from scratch in Unreal? Is it something that is crucial for us as an animator, or is it one of those, again, icing on a cake, cherry on top kind of thing?
Icing on a cake, cherry on top. If you love technical animation, then building from scratch is for you.
Nice. And the last question here before we run out of time on this segment is we kind of covered this a little bit, but there's still quite a few people asking this, which is when you're working on a game animation portfolio or a demo reel, what kind of work and pieces tend to stand out, especially to a recruiter or a studio, compared to others? So we talked about like pieces with personality, pieces that really show strong understanding of character and body mechanics. Is there anything else that you feel just stands out compared to the rest?
Honestly, I was just gonna say it's the same thing of get a shot it's like if you painted a painting that you're gonna put on a wall, what makes that stand out? What's gonna make it a work of art? You wanna make an animation piece, couple seconds long, that's gonna stand out and leave someone remembering it. So, a piece of art, a work of art, something interesting, good acting, interesting. They remember it afterwards. And obviously the body mechanics and the animation principles are all in there. So, uh, an animation that's a work of art. That's gonna be my answer. Try and get instead of just a basic walk cycle.
So it's like you said that in the talk here of that first frame, would you
Yep.
frame it on your wall? Like ask yourself that and push it to that moment of this is something I want to see. Not
Yes.
actually the I'm going on a tangent here. Would you say that as an animator, our priority should be more on what does the studio want to see? What do recruiters want to see? Or what would I want to see? What is the ultimate animation that I would want to see? And let me share that with recruiters. Or is there a balance between the two?
I think both. You wanna it's nice to have and this is hard when you have very little work that you're gonna be wanting to show at first because you're a student and you have maybe 2 shots you like. Um, show the studio close to their style of what they would like, but also what do I want to show? What
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a mixture of both. If you're gonna apply to Disney animation, then they want to see Disney type of animation. If you're gonna apply to Rockstar, they want to see Rockstar animation. But also, what do I like? Put yourself in there too. What makes me unique? So I guess a mixture of both. What the studio's looking for plus you. Bit of both.
That's really cool. I like that. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to answer all of these questions and for your awesome slides. It was amazing.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for sharing all of this amazing knowledge.
Yeah.
Now, before anyone goes, we do have another segment here with Mars and Tim, who will be talking about the school animation mentor. These are going to be our student success team. But before we jump into that, I just want to say once again, Natasha, thank you so much for doing this. This was absolutely amazing. And having seen you teaching the classes and starting from tutoring to mentoring, and now you're doing these, it's just so cool to see all the knowledge that is going into the animation world. It is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bo.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Thank
Natasha.
you.
Take care. And Mars and Tim, I'll let you guys
Wow.
take it away.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
I don't know what we're gonna do
So-
to follow that.
I know.
I got nothing.
So much great insight and knowledge, and it kind of validates some of the stuff we tell students too,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
so many things in there that are great. So
Yeah.
it's good. One of the things I remember, and probably heard me say this a million times, but I remember talking with Bobby Beck, one of the original co-founders of Animation Mentor, and he said the same thing that Natasha said today about being, and somebody asked about it in the chat too, said, what does that mean being good to work with? But he
Yeah.
said that he told me that, he told me the same thing. He's like, doesn't, you could be the best animator in the world, but if you're, not a great team player and nobody wants to work with you, it doesn't matter. And, me personally, Tim, and I'm in music. It's the same thing on the music side of things, arts and music and whatever industry, really. I mean, you could be great at what you do, but if you're not a nice person, you're not going to get the gig. You got to be nice, and people want to, have to want to work with you and stuff like
Yeah. Yeah. They don't want to work next to you for 8, 10 hours and like want to strangle you halfway through the
that.
day, you know?
I
So yeah,
know.
no.
Thank goodness I like you, Tim.
Yeah, right, right, right. And we're separated by so many miles that we couldn't strangle each other. No, that was
So,
so good. Natasha is just, yeah, that was amazing. I liked when she started it too, because there were so many great nuggets in that I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again because there were so many great things that she talked about in there in the networking side of things and where to
yeah,
meet people and how to meet
yeah,
people and
that's helpful
don't
too.
bug them, right?
Right,
Doing
right.
those things are super important because people can do that because they just want to, they want to get their work looked at or they want to like, get some acknowledgement for what they've done. And sometimes, they can, push it a little too far and that can ruin things for you, down the road. So I think
Yeah,
being organic in your messaging and stuff like that, I think is super key to doing all that. So that was really cool. And then
yeah.
That guy Bo, you know,
That guy,
he's not bad,
it's okay.
yeah, he's okay. He's okay. But there were some great questions that were coming in. A lot of animation mentor students in this thread, which was really, really cool to
I
see the
saw that.
AM community coming through
Yeah,
and talking to people and stuff. So
and
I
even
liked it.
a brand new applicant. I saw Amy.
Yeah, Amy. Yeah, she got placed in class 5.
I saw that. Very, very
So that's a
impressive.
big thing. So
A
if somebody's
lot of experience,
Yeah, a lot
clearly.
of experience. So if you're somebody that's like, yeah, I want to jump into game animation or I want to go into the acting side of, character animation, things like that. We have a process where they do that. They apply and submit their demo reel, like
Hmm,
one of
hmm.
our viewers, Amy, did. We sent that reel to one of our mentors to review it. They went back, reviewed it, looked at everything that was on there, and then determined that she was able to bypass class 1, class 2, class 3, and then class 4 to move into
Yeah,
class 5, which is like that's rare
yeah,
to
it
get to
is.
there. So Amy could have easily gone into the advanced acting course, or she could drop right into game animation, probably class 4 in the game animation side of
Oh
things.
yeah,
So
I think that
super duper
should
cool.
definitely qualify for that. Yeah,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
absolutely.
We're glad we made your year, Amy.
That's pretty cool. Let me pull up that Q&A. If you do have any questions about Animation Mentor, how it works, the tuition, registration, any of that sort of stuff, go ahead and feel free to put that in the Q&A panel there, and we'll definitely be checking out questions there. And we'll be here for another 20 minutes. If you don't ask questions, Tim and I will just keep on talking.
We'll just keep noodling,
Riff noodling, as Tim
riff
Tim
noodling along.
Tim
Yeah.
calls it, talking
Yeah.
turkey. It's
Yeah,
almost that
talking
time of
turkey.
year.
Oh, there's a lot of them. It's getting to be that time of the year. Julia had a question on there
I
that was
see
in
that.
there. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Tim and Mars, will AM have a rigging course program in the future? That's a fine question.
Get your crystal ball out.
Oh, but let me bring it out. What the heck is it right now? I'm not sure. But sometimes these things happen. Right now, we don't have anything on the table, but that's not to say that it's not being planned in the works. Mars and I don't know everything. So our dev and team in the background, all the ninjas that are in the background are sometimes creating things, and then they go, what do you guys think? Right. And so if there's enough people that are looking to learn rigging with us, it warrants us bringing something to life at some point in time. So don't, I'm not going to say it, count your chickens, right? But I got a lot of these old guys sayings right now, but
you got them ready to go.
I got them ready
Rapid
to go.
fire.
They're keyed up. But yeah, so we don't know as of yet, but it may happen down the road. So
Stay tuned. Yeah,
stay tuned.
and you know what we do too is we send out surveys
Yeah,
to our students, and we listen to our community. You know, that's how,
yeah,
remember Tim and I have been working here so long. It was before we had 2D courses,
yeah.
and you know the idea of that came from the demand of the community. You know, students that were filling out these surveys and saying, "Hey, when is Animation Mentor going to have 2D courses?" So you know, it's definitely on our radar. That's cool. A couple more questions coming in here. NG Tushal is asking, how much fees do you charge? And if our currency difference is big, what can we do? Great
Yep.
question. So tuition varies by course. So it depends on the course. The tuition kind of varies. We have 6-week shorter courses. We have 12-week courses, part of the game animation program that we were talking about today, and also the character animation program for feature films. Tuition can range from about $699 to $899 for the 6-week courses, and for the 12-week courses, tuition ranges from $12.99 to $24.99, or about $1,300 to $2,500 US dollars per course. We have interest-free installment plans as well. We have $800 a month, $600 a month, $400 a month. So a lot of different flexible installment plans. And those are interest-free. There's no setup fees. There's no credit checks. So everybody qualifies. So pretty flexible. And we do talk to students from all around the world too. So, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes there's some big currency differences. You know, I just always encourage students, let's have a conversation. You know, let's talk about it. You know, let's see what's possible. We can, you know, kind of work with you, and depending on where you're at in the world, you know, what your financial situation is. Sometimes we have tools. Um, Sometimes we have promotions. Actually, there was something posted in the chat earlier. Not sure if you saw it, but if you're brand new to 3D character animation and you want to get started on this track, the best class to start off with is our 6-week Maya animation course. And my good friend Serge, I believe, put a link there to a special
It's
promo
coming
page
back in.
that we have coming up, or that's happening right now. Actually, it's going to be expiring November 9th. So, yeah, like I said, you know, the best thing you can do is have a conversation with us. There it is. Boom.
Wham. Yeah.
Good band.
Han Tong. I know Han Tong. Han Tong actually just applied for advanced placement, as a matter of fact. So you got the memories over here. So that was me that was messaging you, Han, and applying for game animation, trying to get in an upper division class. Can we ask feedbacks from mentors during midweek, or is it just one time each week during class? Great question. The way that our system is set up here, you've got your live Q&A that you go in with your mentor and your fellow classmates. You're working on weekly assignments, preparing to get them submitted on Sunday so that the mentor can grade them and leave an e-critique. However, excuse me, you can also message your mentor as well during the week to ask questions, or go to one of the daily sessions that we have on our event calendar. So if you want a little extra
Dailies.
feedback on something you're working on before you turn it in on a Sunday, I'd go to one of our homework labs. I'd maybe message somebody. I'd maybe post it on the campus feed, or drop into a dailies where you can actually get some technical feedback on stuff. So great question, Han. And guess what? I'll be messaging you soon because your results are in from your demo reel review.
Ooh, your results are in.
Boom.
Nice. This is, I think, probably my favorite comment here from Augustina in the chat. I don't have any questions. I'm just here because I enjoy listening to you guys.
Well, you know what? Yeah, not to say anything bad about the rest of you. Smartest person on this thread.
That's awesome. Cool. There's a ton of questions actually that are coming in here. Let me take a look.
Oh, Camila.
You got one? Go ahead.
Yeah, Camila Leon. Hi, Tim and Mars. I'm a high school student. My question is, what will be the best way to get started in the world of animation? It's a big world, right? Mars
It's a
said
big
it,
world.
right? Definitely that Maya course is,
Oh yeah.
you know, if you're into 3D character animation, right? Different than 2D. If you're 2D, you're doing a lot of illustration, but if you're, you know, you like the 3D side of things, like the stuff you might see with DreamWorks, Pixar, that kind of stuff, then going into the 3D character animation side is it. And best class to start with is for sure that 6-week Maya course that Mars had mentioned earlier,
Yep.
followed up by our 12-week animation basics class, where you're going to learn not 10, not 11 of the
Not
principles,
13.
not 13, but all 12 principles of animation are going to be covered in that. And
Special number.
it's not just going over them. It's making sure that you've got these things mastered so that you can go into, the body mechanics class, advanced body mechanics, acting, things like that, unless you're going to the game side, which is what Natasha was talking about as well. Going through the first 3 courses is part of the deal.
Something about that number 12. There's 12 months. There's 12 numbers on the clock. There's 12
Yep.
principles of animation. There's 12 constellation or zodiac signs. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Carlos Perez, yeah, you did see a cat. That's Jack.
Nice.
Yes.
A little bit back in the chat here, Jody asked a good question. Does Animation Mentor accept financial aid? Is it considered a private university or vocational school or something else?
Yep.
Financial aid like FAFSA. So we are a rather small, independent online animation school. The United States federal government doesn't view us the exact same way as they would a traditional 2 or 4 year college or university. So unfortunately, we're not able to accept any federally funded financial aid, but that's why we have those interest-free installment plans, and those are nice. That's actually even better than loans through the government because our
Yeah.
plans don't have any interest, so that's good. So we do have some really great financial options, and like I said, the best thing you could do is have a conversation with us. We can talk about your financial situation and figure out a plan that's good for you.
And I think, one of the things that Natasha was saying that was kind of cool, that I think, for a while, if you're somebody that's into game development and you're not so much of the game animation side of it, maybe you didn't play as many games, but I feel like if you're going to go into that, she's right. You should be playing games, right? Because if I was somebody hiring in that field, I'd want to know, what are you playing, right?
Right.
What are you into right now? And hopefully it's something that I'm into as well. But I think that was key when she was talking about that, because I thought about that and I'm like, yeah, I'd only want to hire somebody that's actually like a gamer,
Right. Yeah.
you know?
That that helps. Brandon Drake's asking a pretty good question here. It's not a stupid question, by the way. He says, "What is acting in animation?" Sorry if it's a stupid question, which it's not.
Not
I've just never understood. Again, just getting into this area. Only recently graduated high school. Congratulations on graduating high school. It's a big accomplishment. But acting, there was a LinkedIn post. We've been talking about LinkedIn a lot, so those of you who haven't dusted off your LinkedIn, dust it off. But I was on LinkedIn recently, and I saw this post from an animator, and they simply said, "Animators are actors." And I just really
without a
love that.
doubt.
Yeah, I just love that. 50% of our character animation program for the feature film side of things is all about acting. So as an animator, think of yourself as a puppeteer, and you're bringing these little digital puppets to life. And
Yep.
how do you tell a story? I mean, it's through acting. I mean, look at me. I'm moving my hands all over the place, and I'm helping to tell the story today. And that's what animators do. You're bringing these characters to life. Whether it's dialogue between multiple characters, or emotional changes, or if it's a fight choreography and you're swinging swords around, running and jumping. That's all acting. So that's a huge part of animation, and that's what we teach here. That's a big part of it. Bringing those characters to life, telling the story through bringing these little digital puppets to life.
Hey, I'm going to go to one right now because I know this person, as a matter of fact. Warisha
Oh,
Ahmed.
yeah.
Thank you for the great session. You are welcome. I'm nearing the end of the 6-week animation course, Animation Mentors, wondering what course you'd recommend taking to next continue developing my animation skills.
Well,
Warisha,
well, which one is that?
I mean, she's got messages on messages, right? You know how I work, right? Sending stuff to people. That's kind of what I do. And so,
Right.
yeah, you know the deal. We're going to get you into animation basics is going to be that
Yep.
next course for you. It's going to be perfect match, because now that you've learned the animation side of what Maya can do, we're going to help you to apply those skills in the animation basics class. So we don't mess around. We want to make sure that right when you start an animation basics, there's not a lot of dead time. We just get you moving quickly
Yeah.
through that process. So that way there's not a lot of dead time. You just dive in, start working with the software. And how much does the software cost as a student?
$3.99.
Free
Zero
99.
dollars.
That means zero. That's
Yeah.
not going to cost you anything by using that software here. So that was a
Yeah.
good one, Mauricia.
Yeah, and just to clarify on that too, because I know that they mentioned Maya animation basics. There is a difference. I've had some
Yeah,
students a little bit confused between the Maya animation course and animation basics. It is a big difference between those two courses.
sure enough.
The 6-week Maya course is really geared towards teaching you the tools you need to learn how to animate. And then when you get into that first 12-week course, animation basics, that's when you start to really cover what Tim was talking about earlier, the 12 principles of animation. That's where you're really starting to bring some characters to life through some walk cycles, both vanilla and personality walk cycles, and a lot of additional exercises too.
Vanilla sounds good.
But no, oh yeah, and
It does.
what was it? Bo just kept talking about cake.
He talked about cake a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, icing on cakes and cherries on cakes.
I've never had a cherry on a cake.
Yeah, that was a little unusual for me
I was a
too.
little bit, maybe pineapple upside down cake.
Oh, okay.
They put them in there.
Black
Goes
Forest
back.
cake. I
Black
have to
Forest
come in
cake.
here.
I
The
got you.
baker in
Okay.
me has. I
We're
have
in
to come in.
Manitoba. It's a yeah, that's what it is.
Black Forest cake. Okay, fair
It
enough.
makes
Fair.
sense now. All right. You got me.
I'm
He had
out. I'm going back into the shadows.
Yeah, okay.
he used to be a baker.
Yeah. So it makes sense why he
He
dropped that one
knows.
in there.
He knows
So
all kinds of cakes.
yeah, that's so good.
I'm
What
getting a
else do we
bun
have?
cake tonight.
Yeah, well, and so for people that are wanting to do this kind of stuff, like Warisha, who's just finishing up in the Maya course, starting in the winter term, right? Start your 2026 off in a good way. That's our
Yep.
winter term. All of our courses are running at that point, right? So animation
January
basics,
5th.
body mechanics, everything is running for that. Even our game animation courses are all running then as well. So our winter 26 term, if you're somebody that wants to get started in doing this, whether you've used Maya before or this is totally new to you, winter 26 is going to be that term that you can do that. Now, you have to apply to get accepted to our character animation program or our game animation program. The application part is super duper easy to fill out.
It
It's the
is.
regular information, the name, the address, the birth date. We ask you what your experience is in using Maya, and then we ask you to write a short essay on why you want to become an animator.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So tell us. Mars and I read every single application that comes through, all the essays. We go through them. If you can, try not to throw an AI essay in there. I know sometimes English is not your primary language. So we get that, right? And we're okay with that, but it's best if that thing comes from your heart, your story, and why you want to do this, your
I love
motivation, that kind of stuff. That's really what we want on your application essay. Now, do you need to apply to take our Maya course? No,
Not
you just go
necessarily.
on there and register for those courses. And so it's important to note an important thing is that on November 10th, it's your last chance to take Maya before that winter class begins.
For the whole year of 2025.
For
It's the
the whole
last
year of
chance.
2025, November 10th. What else are we teaching on November 10th, if you can recall?
Well, we
I
got
gotta
a
think.
few different 6-week courses. We've
Shall I
got two.
count the ways?
All right, 2D. We've
Yep.
got 2D, intermediate.
Yep.
We've got the walk cycles and character movement. We've got
Yep.
storyboarding.
Yep.
We've got
Story 2,
story
right? We run
2 as well. Yep.
intermediate.
We've got out of shape, a new
That's a new one.
class. That's a new one. It's
Their work
very
is
cool.
cool too. I was on their profile earlier. It was good.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
What
VizDev?
else? VizDev, Game Animation Fundamentals,
Correct.
which is actually a really cool one. If you're not quite sure if you want to go into the game animation program, that's a
Good
really
call.
good one. And then what else?
VizDev. Oh my gosh. Now I'm
I know
blanking.
I know previs and
Previs, thank you.
digital painting might be on hold for the upcoming term because
Yeah.
those ones I think will start maybe.
And those
a
are the
later term.
short courses that we're running at that time frame. But the other courses that we were talking about earlier on January 5th are going to be all the character animation.
All of them are
program,
starting.
all the game animation program, not to mention our creatures courses, right?
Oh,
Our
yeah.
creatures fight or flight, creatures locomotion,
Character
and
modeling.
character modeling. So we're running our 12-week character modeling with Han Chen Lim.
Amazing
And
artist.
the modeling 2 course, which is modeling 02 for games, is also starting in January. So there's a lot of stuff kicking off in January, man.
And Hong Chan, he was working in the game industry, right? Because he did
Yeah.
a bunch of characters for Overwatch and Overwatch 2, right?
Yeah, usually modeler at Blizzard. I know that. I forget where he's at
His-
now, but that's where he was at.
I look, I've checked, I've sent his ArtStation page to several students, and they're like, "I know these characters. You mean
Yeah.
I can learn from this person?" And I'm like, "Yeah, live." These aren't
Yeah.
just recordings. You get to
Yeah,
meet with
yeah,
them
there, yeah.
live.
And that's the thing about it. We're not just doing like recordings. There's live interaction with your mentor. Great opportunity to network organically, right?
Yeah,
As
yeah.
we talked about, which when we go to these conferences, all of a sudden you have a mentor that's there, and all these students are coming up going, "Oh my God, you were my mentor in class!" And and it's so cool to see that. We just saw that at Lightbox, matter of
We
fact.
did. Yeah, very organic,
Yep,
non-GMO, if you will.
yeah, totally non-GMO. Guarantee that.
Uh, Gareth Holiday. I had a friend in high school named Gareth, by the way.
Gareth,
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah, cool name. How many times a year do you run the 6-week Maya course? So every 6 weeks, if you do a little bit of math, that comes out to 8 times per year.
yep,
So twice per term, and we do have 4 terms per year. And again, just like Tim was saying, we try to run almost every course every single term. So you don't have to wait, really long. Some schools you have to wait until the fall term or the spring term to take certain courses. We run every course almost every single term. So lots of times to jump in.
this is good. It's like
Yeah, you guys,
rapid fire.
it is tons of questions. Um, Braden's got another good one here. What do I focus on when switching from traditional art? That's a great question. We get a lot of students who have traditional art backgrounds, whether it's drawing, sketching, painting, sculpting. Some students have BFAs already
Yeah.
in various areas. So it kind of depends. My advice, and I think it's kind of similar to what Natasha was saying too, is to really, go deep, not wide. And sometimes you have to go wide first to kind of figure out what you want to do. And if you don't really know which area you want to focus in, that's where those short 6-week courses come in
Yep.
handy because then you can kind of, figure out, oh, do I want to do 3D character animation? Do I want to do storyboarding? Do I want to do 2D animation? So, it helps to know. So we can kind of help you in some certain directions. Having a conversation, setting up a phone or Zoom call can be good for that. But I mean, if you want to, switch from traditional art and get into game animation, I'm assuming you're probably interested in that since you're here today. I would just say, you want to start learning Maya, start with Maya, do that animation basics course, start learning your body mechanics, and
Yep.
then you've got a little bit of a fork in the road and you can decide, do you want to do feature film animation more for, movies and TV shows, or do you want to do more game animation? And you don't have to decide that right off the bat. You could put that on your application. Maybe
Yeah.
you could put both. You could put undecided. So there's some different tracks, but if you want to step into that direction of 3D character animation, again, that first course is going to be the 6-week Maya course.
Yeah. And there's a lot of students that come back after they get done with one. Like Natasha was saying, if you went through the game animation track,
Oh
went
yeah.
through all 6 courses and then came back, you only need to take the last 3 courses of the character animation program and leave with a certificate of completion, character animation, certificate of completion, game animation, 2 different
Like a
reels,
double
right?
major.
Yeah, like a double major almost.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Yep.
And I don't know if you just mentioned this because I had a click in my ear, but
Yeah.
as a graduate of Animation Mentor, once you finish those 6 courses, you're considered a grad,
Yeah.
and then you get a special discount on those 3 remaining courses for whichever one you decide to do. So that's pretty cool too.
Yep. Later, Amy, I'll be in touch with you really, really soon. Samira, can I start in December if I can't take the first animation mentor course? Yeah, we don't have anything in December that's starting, so it would be January 5th. So if you're somebody that's
Yep.
like, timeline, I just can't do the November, anything like that. You could take our Maya course in January,
Yep.
January 5th, but you would have to be starting in our main course if that's what your plan is for our spring term. But it's crazy. I don't even spring 26. It's like an April class, right?
No, still
I don't want to
fall.
get too ahead of myself, but she asked, so
That's
cool.
cool. Nice, nice. Any other questions? Now is your chance. We're almost at our
Yeah,
time here. Wonderful questions, though.
for sure.
And if you scroll up in the chat, our email address did get posted there from Serja. And
I
please
see
do
it.
feel free to reach out, admissions@animationmentor.com. That goes to me and Tim. We are professional responders.
We
Wherever
are.
you send us a message, we're going to reply to you. Um, and like I said, send a message if you're interested in finding out more. We can set up a phone call. We can set up a Zoom call. That's
Yep.
what we do. We find times that work for everybody in every
WhatsApp.
time zone. WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. I check LinkedIn inbox. I check the TikTok inbox.
I'm on the Reddits.
Tim's got Reddit. We divide and conquer. So, please reach out if you do have any additional questions. I don't think I'm seeing anything else. I know there were some other questions we did get to as many as we could that we could answer as well. If we didn't get to any of those questions that you have, do please feel free to email those to admissions@animationmentor.com.
We
But
appreciate you.
I think that takes us to time. Bo.
Awesome.
There he
Thank
is.
you
Look
so
at
much, Mars and
Beauregard.
Tim. Not Beauregard. No, that's not
No.
right.
We had to stop you there.
I'm gonna age myself here. If you've ever played the video game, since we're talking about video games today,
Yeah.
Laura Bow and the Colonel's Bequest.
Oh my.
It is an old Sierra game, and the dog in there was called Beauregard. And the teasing I got from that
Because they thought,
that game, yeah, is like, nope.
I mean, the
I can't
title of that is
associate
a
that name.
mouthful, though.
It is. It was an old point and click Sierra puzzle
Yeah.
game. It was
Side scroller or
good.
something?
Yep.
Or,
Yeah, just the old DOS games. You had to boot it up by typing in C backslash.
yeah, that's
the
good
good old
stuff.
days.
I used to make music on a DOS application. It was called Scream Tracker, and it looked like a spreadsheet, and you would put beats in certain places. And I mean, I'm dating myself now. We get sound packs from like a BBS and stuff like that. Wow, old.
Now, have you ever done music in Mario Paint? There you go.
Oh,
I think so. Yes,
interesting.
yes, we
Nice.
have. Yes,
It just
yeah.
came out on the Switch somewhat recently. If
Well,
you wanted to check it out.
But there was one from like the old
yeah.
school one. Yeah.
No, they
there was like a
re-released it
music.
on the Switch.
Oh, I didn't
and
know that. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I've seen so many people creating music on there again. It's like, yes, it's so good.
Oh man, that's so awesome.
Yeah, let's wrap.
Everyone just trying to nudge us off stage.
Yeah.
No, we're stuck here. We're
staying.
talking
We're gonna
about
be here
old
all
games
day.
now.
We're just getting started here.
Yeah. Talking cakes next.
Thank you, Mars and Tim, for taking the time to answer all these questions. It's always a pleasure to see you both. Thank you all so much for jumping in, hanging out for all of this time, and asking all of your amazing questions. It's truly appreciated. Hopefully, we'll see you in future workshops like these, and hope you have an amazing week. Take care, everyone.
Bye,
Take
guys.
care.
Bye.
Bye.